Perhaps you have asked yourself this question all your life. What is the harm in paying our debts by printing money? You may have thought. Of course, this question is not as simple as it seems. However, if you are looking for a short answer, the answer is clearly inflation. In other words, if we try to pay our debts by printing money, inflation will occur as a result. Now, let's go a little deeper into the subject together and examine in detail why we cannot pay our debts by printing money. Before explaining the subject in detail, there are a few concepts we need to know. Let's take a look at them first. Money. As it is known, long ago, people preferred to give various goods as barter in order to buy something. These goods were sometimes grain products, sometimes precious metals, and sometimes various animals. Money was generally used as a means of exchange or payment and became a value accepted by many. As time progressed, coins and paper money, even virtual money that we use today, emerged, all of which were accepted as a means of payment. The important and relevant part for us here is the use of money as a means of payment. That's why we use money to pay our debts. And if we print more money, we get rid of our debts. However, as I mentioned at the beginning, this has a consequence, and that is inflation. Inflation. To put it simply, we can express it as follows. We buy goods or services with money. Of course, they also have a monetary value. We call this the price of that product or service. If there is a rise in the price level of these goods and services, we have to pay more money to buy them. Thus, as we pay more money for that good or service, our purchasing power decreases. This is exactly inflation. However, one thing to be aware of is that the increase in these price levels becomes continuous, and the price level in general is looked at here. Let's take a simple example for better understanding. Let's say you pay $50 for a grocery shopping in 2020. You paid $100 for the same products in 2021. So, you paid more money to buy the same products in 1 year. This means that your purchasing power decreases and the general level of prices increases. So, we can say that there is high inflation. We can divide inflation into three parts, and we cannot say that all types of inflation are harmful. This moderate inflation. It is a situation where the general price increases are realized at a low level. This type of inflation, also called creeping inflation, does not have negative effects on the economy. High inflation. In this type of inflation, the functioning of the markets may deteriorate and there will be uncertainties about the future that could hurt the economy. Hyperinflation. It is the most dangerous type of inflation. It is the collapse of the national monetary system. In other words, the national currency has lost an incredible amount of value. It may be the result of an emergency and ultimately have to switch to a new currency. So, who prints the money? Generally, an institution authorized by the central banks of the countries or by the government is responsible for printing money. However, they cannot print money of their own accord. In order for any institution to print money, there must be gold in its treasury for the money it prints. That is why they cannot print money freely and unlimitedly. If large amounts of money are introduced, into the market without compensation. The result will be inflation. After the Second World War, Germany experienced this and hyperinflation, which is the harshest stage of inflation that we mentioned before. Thinking that it would win the war, Germany was planning to meet the war expenses from the lands it won. But things didn't go as it wanted. It began printing money non-stop to pay for the war. And as a result, the money became incredibly worthless. It is known that prices were 12 times higher than before the war. The most striking example was a case of money being paid to buy a loaf of bread. In fact, money was so worthless that people even used it as fuel, and it even became children's toys. Starting from here, let's briefly explain the effects of inflation. Effects of inflation. Inequality in income distribution. The wealth of the rich will increase while the poor become poorer. The purchasing power weakens. People have to pay more for the same product. Foreign debt increases as the country's national currency depreciates against the foreign currency. Its foreign debt also increases. Investment decrease. Investors don't want to take risks because of the uncertainty in the country. Saving decrease. No one will try to save money because money is worthless. As a result, to summarize briefly, as it can be seen, there are some important consequences of a country's printing of excessive money, especially for the purpose of paying its debts. It shouldn't be forgotten that what is abundant is worthless, and what is scarce is often valuable. This is exactly the case here as well. If the government releases large amount of money, it will depreciate and become worthless. As a result, inflation will occur, and the purchasing power of the people whose money has become worthless will decrease. As a result, the problems mentioned earlier will arise. Therefore, printing money to pay off our debts is not the right behavior. What do you think about this subject? If you have something to add, feel free to share it with me in the comment section. Don't forget to subscribe and like the video. See you in new videos. Thanks for watching.